Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, the High Guy Jacobs, and today we've got another episode of Who TF Are You? And in the episode today, we have the one and only Sagey619. Welcome to the chat, Sagey.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Thanks for joining us. So first and foremost, let's do a little bit of an introduction, who you are and where you come from.
My name's Jay. I'm from England, region 200, Alliance Epic.
Epic. Good name.
Yeah.
It's very epic.
Yeah, I didn't come up with it. It was already made when I joined.
Oh, so you just joined him and took over. Very nice.
I didn't talk over. The leader decided to quit and left me in charge.
That's like the equivalent of being the nephew of a king who just dies. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you wanted it, but you ended up gifting it. It's, here you go.
Yeah, you're just the one who speaks the most, or who's telling people, oh yeah, you should be doing this, and they're like, oh yeah, you sound like a good guy, you could do it.
The loudest one, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, I think the statement is, right?
That's it, yeah.
So you live in England. That's crazy. I've got a couple friends from England. My brother-in-law is actually from a little place called Preston, I believe.
Preston, yeah, I'm aware of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he moved here a long time ago, and he's a good friend of mine, but I've always wanted to visit. So that's really cool to have you on the podcast today. So from what I understand, you said you were in region 200.
Yep.
And you're in Alliance Epic. What's your current might of your account?
My current might is 140 million.
140. And I think we were just talking, you're 626 days in, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Which is almost exactly as many as me. I'm probably about a week advanced. We checked ID numbers, and it's very, very close. So you're doing a little bit better than I am. I'm only 127 million. So I got to give you credit for that. Well done.
Mm-hmm. What's your kills?
I just cracked over 100 million. So I'm not yet at a 1-to-1 ratio. I think you're doing better than me there. But I started fighting late.
I mean, that's what happens. You sort of, once you get like T5 and maybe like above 60, 70 millions, you really start to understand the game of the fighting aspect, especially when there's nobody teaching you really.
Well, not to mention, I noticed that a lot of it is where you get your kills. So I got 100 million, but 18% of that is T6. Whereas I see a lot of people who have 300 million kills, but 3/4 of that is tier 4 and lower.
Oh, is those ones that play in the lower ranks and then they just run, or they're farm killers, rider main.
Farm killers, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Or older accounts. I mean, DS was a way to inflate your kills pretty easily.
Yeah, Dark Seal definitely was, yeah.
But again, we've been in the game long enough to experience those.
I do miss Dark Seal, actually. That was probably one of my favorite events. Apart from the metro thing. Apart from the metro thing opening at midnight here. And you have to wake up and defend metro, I guess.
Yeah, time slots always sucked. I mean, it sucks with GW as well. There's a reason why we don't play Genesis War because of the time restraints.
Yeah, GW is a bit of a... I think our lines kind of like splits up during GW most of the time because it's hit and miss, that event. I don't know. I just don't like the aspect of 100% deads on buildings or something. It's just...
Well, not to mention, they restricted the hour, so now it's only 1 hour of fight time. And it's at a really bad time for half of the world's population. And the rewards aren't that great. So it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a very good point because they made that change recently, about a month or two ago. And zombies, like literally, if you missed the first zombie or this 8 a.m. one here, 8 UTC, you literally lost the game.
That's right. That's right. Zombies are worth a ton.
Yeah, the person or the alliance could have like 30k points already, and then you have to catch up. And obviously, if it's a good battle, then you may not have enough time to get those points.
Yeah.
And especially with 1 hour window.
It's really it's tough. It's tough. Like I said, I mean, I can push the 4 o'clock 0400 UTC because that's 10 o'clock for me. but I'm not doing 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm struggling to do 8 o'clock in the morning because that's right when my kids are going to school, right in the middle of the morning. You want me to take a whole hour off? That's rough. So
Some people are working, and
yeah,
some people are, got their kids up and everything. And
yeah.
I think they should have times like Pompeii. That would be very good. But again, like then you have to balance the might and the rating. I mean, the matchmaking sucks anyway. So um,
We can agree on
they got
that.
a lot to, yeah, they got a lot to think about.
I wish the developers had a finger on the pulse, but it seems like they have a finger on the wallet instead.
The wallet is always the thing. I mean, look when it started. They didn't even have armaments. I mean, to get parts was really difficult anyway.
Yeah.
And only recently it got better. But now they got Beast, Workshop, superb armaments, and new heroes every month or every other month, and it's just you can't keep up.
Well, you can't keep up without spending, and unfortunately, because those who do spend have free reign to move wherever they want and effectively play wherever they want.
Oh,
It,
even the
you know,
ones that are spending, I've known so many spenders that have quit because it becomes overwhelming. With so much
yeah,
new stuff. Like
that's a good point.
imagine, yeah, you spend so much and then a hero or whatever it may be, and then you got something else that's better, and then you're like, oh, I've just wasted my money here.
Yeah, and especially when you have other experiences like they have, where they take the stuff that used to cost an expensive amount of money and give it away for free to the newer accounts.
Oh
I
yeah, the sister skins.
Yeah, so I've had a huge gripe not only with the sister skins, but I've had a huge gripe with how they kind of handle this, where they make and don't get me wrong, a lot of things are like this, where they're like it's more expensive up front, right? Because it's a prime product, right? If you're getting something fresh, it's going to be more expensive than if you're getting something 3 days later, right? Even when it comes to baked
Mm-hmm.
goods and shit like that. I get that. I get that concept. But this is not the same experience because this isn't stuff that goes bad. This isn't stuff that devalues over time. This is stuff that still brings the same experience, whether you buy it
Yeah.
at $500 or whether you buy it at $2 or whatever it is for the newer players.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you look at the sister skins, that's a prime example. They were, I think, $400 for the, like, they always come back around, and it's like $400 for both of them.
Yeah.
But the newer accounts get it for $100 in the VIP section when they awaken Catherine, which we had to do for the same price anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So they're effectively getting the skin for free.
Yeah, that is true. They are. And is it both of them they get, or is it one?
Well, they get Catherine for sure. I don't
Yeah.
remember if they get Cynthia. I think they still have. I'm not sure about that one, but I know that Catherine is in the VIP packs of the
Mm-hmm.
newer
Oh yeah,
alliances
I
accounts.
think they get one, not two.
So they might still have to buy the other one, but even then, right? Even then, it's half the value they're literally giving away for free.
Yeah.
And don't even get me
Imagine.
started on when they first brought out the sister skins in comparison to the Lewis skin, and when
Oh,
people
don't get
had.
me started.
Did you
That
pay
made
for the Lewis skin when it first came
that
out?
that that made me rage. Luckily I didn't buy it though, because I was like, no way, like you're doing that.
Yeah,
Because IGG have a habit of releasing something and then later on pulling back on it, like
yeah.
making it or bringing something out that's better. They did the same with the was it Survivors, was it, or something, when it was literally hidden behind paywall or Workshop,
Yeah, the
where it was like, oh,
vehicles.
you have,
Vehicles were.
yeah, the vehicle you had to buy, is it 100 pounds or 200 pounds to actually unlock it. And
You needed 400 tier 3 blueprints to
yeah,
unlock
that was
the whole
just
thing.
yeah, that was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on they were like, okay, you know what? You could do 100. Um,
Okay,
so I never
we made
trust
a
them.
mistake.
Yeah,
We made a mistake. Just do it a little at a time. It's fine.
that's it. Yeah, so I've learned to just wait for a bit, like maybe like a couple of weeks or a month before you like, okay, do I want to invest into this?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I've had that forethought. A lot of times I get stuck into it. But that's also why I don't budget a lot for this game. I at least try not to. If I do, otherwise, I know that number one, I'd be broke as fuck at home, and you know, IGG wouldn't really give
Yeah.
a crap either way. So
Yeah.
I talk as much
Hmm.
about how much I love the game, but let's be honest, the developers are
Well,
subpar to say
you.
the best.
Hmm. Well, a lot of people they say, "Oh yeah, I only spend I don't know 100, 200, whatever dollars or pounds you want to speak about." But what about the bit where you spend during the event in terms, the rapid heal that they bought out, and is it in Island Raid they got the $5 pack and then they got $10. Is it 10?
It's
Yeah,
20.
that gives you extra. Yeah, or is it 20?
Yeah, it's 5 and then 20.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the amount of, I think they have learned, but they've learned it in a smart way where you can't, you literally, they're forcing you to click those buttons. Like you got endless, those little armament deals that come up every 2 weeks or every week
Of course.
actually.
And the cheap ones
Um,
not starts at
the
99
ch-
cents.
yeah,
Yep.
99 cent, and then it goes up, and
Yep.
you literally, and it refreshes twice in a week. What is it, in a matter of a couple of days?
It's
Um,
they typically come out once a week.
is it
One
once a week?
Yeah, it's typically once a week, and then there's a couple days off there because they're on for 3 days, and I think they're off for 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're on for 3 days.
Yeah. No, I think when you buy the whole bit, I think it's about 40 pounds, and then it refreshes like a couple of days later. That
Yep.
that whole thing.
Yep.
It's just crazy the way they've done it. And it's just overwhelming because there's so many new things, and like literally I guarantee you next month there'll be a infantry main sorry, a new hero.
Yeah, the
Like
rider's
a
coming out next in next TC.
yeah, so they'll probably have some rider hero. It's just
Oh, I mean they
over.
already do. They've already advertised it's coming out.
Is it?
Yeah,
I haven't
next
seen it.
TC is rider. So this is infantry. The next one, if you look at the top commander, go in and look at it and look at the preview. It says rider new. And every time that's
Oh,
happened before, that means that we got a new hero coming. So I believe we have 2 new rider heroes coming in the next 2 weeks.
yeah, probably Chase's brother.
Well, the talk of the town is, and this is all just speculation, basically looking at the history of what they've done and how they released characters. Because they released Ethan as a garrison hero for ranged, they're going to release a rally hero for riders, right? So this is going to probably be the concept. So we'll probably get a rally hero in the top commander event, and like some kind of field hero or pair hero, like they've kind of been doing in the bounty roulette,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll probably be a rally focused hero. At least that's what the speculation is.
Oh, okay. I mean, riders right now, I think if you had to pick between all the troop types, I think riders right now are probably the strongest. Um,
I
because
would
yeah,
disagree.
I think the power of Chasey and Felix is just insane.
The thing with Chasey
Um,
Felix is that it's very easily defeatable. I mean, once you understand how to beat a Chasey, I mean it's not. I don't think it's nearly as. I think honestly, Ethan Garrison is far stronger than a Chasey. Well, maybe not far stronger, but I still
mm,
think an Ethan Sophie, especially like an awakened Ethan Sophie, against an awakened Chasey Felix,
mm,
because Chasey Felix is one-on-one damage, right? And if she gets
right, yeah.
swarmed, she's not she.
Mm-hmm.
And if she gets swarmed, she doesn't
Yeah.
benefit from any of that. She doesn't have enough defense. So unless you stack a ton of defense on Chasey, she's easily
Mm-hmm.
swarmed in comparison to Ethan, where his AoE damage with someone like Sophie or Lewis, I mean, is just disgusting.
Okay, fair point. I just see some like literally every tower I look at is just Chasey,
That's
Chasey,
true.
Chasey.
That's true.
I'm
She's
just
around
sick of it.
everywhere. Yeah,
I'm
a
just sick
hundred
of it.
percent. Like I
Yeah.
said, don't get me wrong. I definitely think Chasey is strong, but she's still within that peak because enough people have had Chasey enough times to see them awakened more often and see them relevant more often, right?
I think it's probably the most flexible hero
That
apart
too.
from
Yep.
Lewis. I think she's
And
probably
Julia.
the most flexible. Yeah, in Garrison, Julia is okay, but Chasey does well on the field, on like really well on the field in Garrison and rallies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think with Lewis, I think them two are probably like top tier.
Yeah. I still think Lewis is ranked decently high. I think the problem I have with ranking heroes is that, like we talked about a little bit before we got onto the podcast, there's so much context to this game, right? Because just like you're talking about, it's not about what they can it's not about who's better. It's about who's better at doing certain things, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that, like I mentioned in my armaments videos that I'm just going over through now, a lot of that is also dependent on your individual stats and balances. If, you know, based on what your own hones and things like that, and that can have a massive influence on how well your chasey does against my chasey.
Your hones, your ace survivors, your workshop,
Yeah. Yeah.
rally
Yeah.
fillers, like there's so many different concepts.
Yeah. And so
Um,
it's one of those things where I'm looking at going, you know, especially when you see her everywhere, I think the context is never the same. So we can't really judge and say who's better. Because they both crushed. Like we walked into in the last IR that we were in, an Ethan Garrison that we could not crack. It was probably the hardest one that we had a chance with, and we were up against Chaseys and we were up against Ragaro Rivens, but it was the Ethan Sophie that gave us the most trouble.
On the field?
No, in Garrison. In Garrison.
In Garrison,
Yeah.
okay.
And
I think it's a lot of HP, isn't it? Was he transcended?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, he's really strong.
Well, that's what I'm saying. His base attributes are ridiculous. 49% defense and attack and 47% HP or something stupid like that. Like, it's ridiculous stats.
And that skill that, you know, you take less damage for like two minutes plus.
Yeah, when it starts.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's crazy. Like, there's a ton of reasons why he does so well. And so that's why the speculation is that the balance to that is going to be a Ryder Garrison hero, because even though Chasey is good, and even though you can put her in a lot of places, like even she can even run rallies, right? So that she's even in Garrison place. That was one of her benefits, right? You could run Chasey Felix, win the rally, and keep them in there on Garrison, and she was still getting benefit from that, right?
Yeah.
So, but then once they bring out Ethan, it's one of those things where I don't think a Chasey Felix beats an Ethan Sophie rally.
Again, this it's really hard to judge because obviously, like you mentioned, you know, people have different stats and things like that.
That's true. You're right.
So it's very, very hard. Only IGG can answer that, I think.
And we know how good they are at communication.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's one of those things. If they were better at communication, I wouldn't have a part-time job. So
I mean, they literally, I could do it for them. Like, just tell me what it is, and I'll type it up for them. Because sometimes they release this and they're like, yeah, go figure it out. Like, what is this, Lego?
Well, not only is this Lego. That took a second for me to clue in, but it all of a sudden rushed in. That was a good one. Is this IKEA? I gotta build it myself. No, but it's like, it's one of those situations where, you know, not only do they say go figure it out, but a lot of times it's like if you've ever heard from Z, I like to call him Zed because I'm Canadian.
It is Zed. It is Zed.
I think it's Zed too. But he'll talk about the times where he had to go to the developers and be like, no, this is actually how it's working. And the developers were like, nope, that's not how it's working. And he's like, here's the proof that it's doing that. And they're like, nope, that's not how it's working. And he's like, like it's laid there.
I saw that video. Yeah. I saw that video where he literally sent them reports after reports, and they're literally still in denial.
Yep, no, that's not how it works.
Around, yeah, they're just telling him, yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
And then I think afterwards they gave him like, I don't know, 2 speed ups or something stupid, like really ridiculous, nothing to say thank you. But that's a prime point that I think IGG should be paying attention to anyways.
But did they fix it, or is it still going on?
Oh no, it's been fixed.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, so it just same with the Stella bug that I think that was there, where Stella's abilities weren't triggering properly. I believe that's also been fixed. At least that's what they say.
Yeah, it took a player to literally go through so many hurdles to explain to them why it's not working properly.
Yeah,
I wonder how many other things are not working in the game.
Well, and that's the thing, and I think a lot of that also comes from the fact that IGG, didn't develop the game from the beginning, right? They bought the game from an indie developer, so it's all of a sudden, and I think a lot of this has to do with coding, because coding itself is it's a different language, and people have such a different understanding of the language.
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's like chefs coming in to finish a recipe
Yeah.
that's already been started. It's kind of a difficult thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
It's
not like
you.
I blame IGG, but I kind of blame IGG.
No, if you take on the responsibility of a new game, then yeah, you are responsible for all those things, and you
Sure.
surely should have testing. And if you don't understand your game, then how do you expect your consumers to understand it?
Well, I think half of the fun for them is not understanding it so that we just pay for it for the things that we know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think so many people in this game just understand that a lot of these changes aren't going to go away. So like we screamed for the beasts to go away when they first got here. Nobody wanted
Mm-hmm.
the beasts when we got them here. But that didn't stop people from buying them. And when we were trying to organize when they first introduced
Boycott.
a boycott on GW,
Yeah.
people talked a lot of game. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. But when it came down to it, they were like, "Nah, I'll take the free rewards. I'll just take the crappy rewards."
Oh no, they even bought the dragon skin and everything. You remember the whole hands where they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna, you know, boycott spending," and also I don't know if you remember it. And then next minute you see like the whole alliances across the big ones with all the March skins and everything when they did
Yeah,
the immigration thing come out.
yeah.
It's just
We're gonna
crazy.
boycott. Spend, spend, spend. No, you. That's not how it works. Like, and that's the problem, right? Because the game kind of gets you, and it gets you connected in such a way that
Mhm.
and I mentioned this in previous podcasts, a lot of it has to do with the community, right? The friendships that you make. And
Definitely.
right, and the little competitions that you get into with each other, right? I remember a lot of times that I spent money on the game not because I wanted to spend money on the game, but because I was in a might race with a friend of mine just trying to get a little bit stronger than them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So like those types of little things. Well, that type of experience has gone away in my opinion, and now it's literally microtransactions.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously everybody has different ways, different reasons of playing. Like you said, yours could be competition with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was more about protecting my friends. But again, like they just have these connections. Well, we build connections with people that we meet online, for example, and then that gets us going. And IGG is there, like, yeah, swipe your card here, we'll take your money, no problem. And that's what
Oh,
they're
you're making
doing.
friends? I'm making Benz. Benz,
Yeah,
baby.
that's what they're doing. Yeah,
Yeah, no shit.
yeah.
And look, I get it. It's a game. It's a business, pardon me. It has to make money. I get that concept. Capitalism is a bitch. I disagree with capitalism in a lot of ways. But that again is a conversation for a Friday night over with a warm bourbon. Um,
Hmm.
but it's a situation that basically says, once that's accepted, I mean, there's really no end to it at that point. I mean,
Oh
people
no,
will
I'm
pay
not
for
against.
everything.
I'm not. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's against IGG making money. That's fine. I mean, look at I'm from. I come from the background of League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
That's a free game,
Right.
but yet they make a lot of money because people are willing to spend, and especially the packs of how like small transactions like you mentioned, they're like £4, £5, etc.
Mm-hmm.
You look at things like here when the helicopter came out or when the workshop come out, you're looking at £500-600. But if you break it down, let's say it's either not. I think they've started doing that now. They've started doing that now. I think
Yep.
they may be listening to you. I know you've done few videos, screaming and shouting about these things. So, but they've started doing that now. They bought out is it parts?
Yeah, they
That's
brought out
like
the
not
parts. They brought out
the
the
equipment,
yeah. So now you have an
equipment.
equipment thing, a parts thing, a vehicle customization thing, and then your armaments
Yeah,
week.
that's it. So now they bought it out. But before, if you wanted to buy these things, you'd spend $99 or whatever you want to call it. Isn't
Mm-hmm.
£100 or close to £100 to actually get something. But now obviously they've learned, they'll be like, okay, we need to like slow these, break them down so people will buy more. And that's what's happening. They are earning a lot more than
I think so.
they have in the past. And that's why it's encouraged them to do obviously these type of deals because they don't listen to us otherwise.
I mean, it all comes down to their bottom dollar, and I think the
Mhm.
the tough part about that is once the game like I mentioned before, I think the concept is it comes down to two things when you're looking at a game like this. Do you want to build something that's going to last a long time, or do you want to build something that's going to burn out and flash in the pan, and you're going to get as much as you can out of it as quick as possible, and that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, unfortunately, IGG is currently on a flash in the pan type model because of how fast they're bringing things out. And I figure this because even when I talk to the whales, even when I talk to the larger players, right? I've spoken with Panda. I've spoken with, I've interviewed Panda. I've interviewed Ultimo. I was playing IR with Nom Nom and MP5 from HNB. Like, even talking to these guys that literally have everything, they're even saying it's coming out too fast. We need to slow down. Give us a chance. Even give the smaller players a chance to catch up because it's just becoming ridiculous. So,
and the gap is definitely huge. But even for people that are spending, I had whale friends that have quit the game, not because they wanted to. They were like, it's overwhelming. Even me spending doesn't feel like it's worth it because it's like there's always something else. There's always something else, and it's not cheap. And to a point, they're like, okay, I'm not having fun. All I'm doing every time I log in, I'm spending 100, 200 pounds per like login, and it's just not everybody save me. Like, I don't know.
Look, I
think
don't
they
want to
got
be safe me. The guy's a little twisted, but if I could have access to his bank account for a day, I'd take that.
Yeah, I guess. And I think anybody would. Yeah.
I don't want to be in his shoes because, number one, I'm proud to be Canadian. But it's one of those situations where I'm like, if I could have access to his account or like his bank account for just a day, I'd make that happy.
Oh, you only need 5 minutes. It's okay. That will do.
Buy gold, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold.
That's it. Yeah. Even if there's no 25% extra, the offer that they give you. Yeah,
I'll take 5%. I'm fine with it. Yeah. I'll take 5%.
Yeah,
Thousands
that's it,
over.
yeah.
That's fine. My thumb will get tired hitting that 1,000 button. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird though, because then they bring those spending events where it's like, spend $20,000, we'll give you an iPhone. I'm like, I could just go buy an iPhone.
Don't even. But in the last one, there was this guy called what's his name?
Black Demon.
Black Demon.
Yep.
He come on and he must have spent like at least 20 grand or something.
I think he's spent somewhere like 250,000 already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Apparently he's not in the alliance anymore or something. So I don't know where he is.
Well, I've got him in my friends list. I could find him, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
I've spoken to him a couple of times.
He might be inactive. Yeah, I think he's inactive or he's on a business trip or something. But it's
yeah. He's a different account because like it's how do I say this without being rude? It's kind of like he plays it when he can. Business trips, he's always out lots, but he's got a lot of help with it, so he like entrusts it to people to work on for him while he's away. And like
with his gold as well.
Oh yeah, well, helps him with like everything. So I think there's a couple people that have his login in data. I know there's at least one person that has login data from him. And so he'll pay to keep it upgraded. The one other guy will like boost it and stuff like that. But boosting accounts is a common thing, especially in games like this. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Soon. He needs to start fighting soon.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Now that he's getting to that point, he's already got white parts. Like he should be fighting more.
He's got like 15 million. Yeah.
Let's see him swing. I get 10 million kills in one event. Let me see him swing.
Yeah, I'd like to see him go with Save Me and stuff. Just throw wallets at each other.
It would be interesting, but IGG doesn't pay for that, right? Because the only thing that they listen to when it comes to their whales is that the whales don't want to fight against other whales. And we know this because they've opened up everything so that it's no longer about that. You know what I mean? Like they've opened literally every aspect and weighted it so heavily so that the people that spend typically have it easier off.
Are you referring to the regions or the TC?
Both things. TC arena is open. So arena is open. TC is open. Regions are open. You don't even have to be in your alliance or in your region to be in an alliance. Everything like that is open. Immigration is open.
Yeah, the immigration thing is just silly. Like there's wars like every week. Like it's just stupid.
Yeah,
The
that's what
amount of
Armored
mess
covers.
Yeah, the amount of messages I even get, like, oh, obviously we come across many people during idle raid and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they message you like, brother, do you have any, like, can you send some players around? Like, we need some help here. I was like, for what? We need to take over the metro. I was like, why would you need someone? He goes, yeah, just need to be sure. I was like, just go somewhere, join an active alliance, and that's what people need to understand. I think we were speaking about it
Yep.
off the thing, especially for new players. Joining an active alliance will only help you grow 10 times faster, and that's not nothing to do with the chests and things like that. It's just more efficient. Like the tech is full, and the help hands and things like that, that's just a lot quicker,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be able to learn a lot more from people that have been playing the game for a long time, rather than you trying to figure it out. Even if you're a spender, like, I can speak for myself. When I started, I spent like a lot of money on the wrong things.
Yeah, yeah, we all
um
do.
yeah.
We all do.
Yeah, so but when you play with people that have been playing, and you can you can make less mistakes, because they're obviously, you can ask them questions and what hero to work on and the reasoning behind it and things like that.
Mm.
And that definitely helps you, because when I moved to I was obviously in an alliance that didn't, like, if I heal something, literally, it would take a day to get 30 hands or something. And then when you move to an active alliance, you'll realize like how quickly you develop, and that's through hive minds and various other ways.
Just the
Um,
consistency of being in the alliance, and
yeah,
and the
definitely.
communication that happens in an active alliance as well. The
Oh
strategy
yeah,
you
definitely.
learn.
hmm
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally
Otherwise,
agree.
otherwise you'll be like 100 million, and you'll be like, I don't know how to play the game. All I do is farm. Like you just get bored and you leave the game.
Well, and I think that's the biggest problem. I see a lot of 120, 130, 150, even 200 mil accounts that have very low kill counts. And
And
so
those kills are probably from the time that they were burnt.
exactly, it's either them getting
Right.
burned or, their farms getting burned or, things like that. Like it's not them actually actively going out there doing things. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty generalized statement to say that if you have high might and no kills, that you're just a farmer. Um but when you look at statistics, that's kind of what that means. It kind of means that you're not taking part in the majority of things. I mean, like I said, in an event, I'm getting 7 to 10 million kills, right? 5 to 10 million
Yeah.
kills depending on how active I am
hmm
per event. And if you're telling me that at 200 million might, where you're in an account that's older than mine, and you have only a tenth of the kills that I have in total, we can talk all
Yeah.
day if you don't want to call yourself a farmer, but let's be honest. You sure are
Exactly.
spending a lot of time in the field.
Yeah, I just don't see the point of, like, yeah, everybody has their own way of playing the game. That's
Yeah.
fine. But the game, the core aspect is fighting. Um, but if you're not doing that, like, you get bored. Like we have a week off. Like, don't get me wrong. Like right now we have GW and Island Raid and Archipelago Raid, etc. And then that rest week, like, it's so boring. I don't even log in. I just let my farmers just farm. That's it.
Right.
Like, just be there. And it just feels like, imagine someone doing that for like a year and not having anything to do. Like, that's so boring. Like, why would you play something like that?
Well, I have how do I say this without getting political? Let's just say it's quite evident right now that people don't necessarily make the right decisions. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you,
Or
do you get?
maybe they don't understand the game properly.
Well, it's not necessarily whether it's about understanding the game. I guess a lot of it could also be stemmed down to what do they use the game for, right?
Mm,
If what all that they're using it for is into log in, shut their brain off for a while, log in, collect their dailies, send their farms out, build their troops, and just mindly go through it. I mean, that's fine and all. That's totally fine.
th-
Um,
then they should just be in a alliance, an academy or something. But then when you try to explain that to them, they're like, no, 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 this is where I want to stay.
that's the kicker. That's the kicker. It all depends. Sorry, I got someone calling me here.
Probably getting burnt in Island Raid.
No, no, no. It's just a friend of mine. Just give me 1 second. I can cut this out.
Yeah, no problems.
There we go. He can wait. So what were you just talking about?
People not wanting to move to
Right.
like
Right. So this is something that I've always been a huge proponent of, right? You need to find an alliance that not only fits your play style but fits your wallet. So like
absolutely.
it's not necessarily about being 200 million. Like, that's fine. Be super strong, farm a lot, that's fine. But do yourself a favor and don't put yourself in an alliance that is a fighting alliance, because you're doing them a disservice and you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So put yourself in, like I said, a farming alliance, an academy alliance, one that doesn't participate in events, one that's not going to be influenced by your massive might.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had I mean, you get loads of advice from people. Oh yeah, I want to join your alliance, etc. There's so many that I have to explain. Like, look, as much as I'd love to have you, it's not the right fit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's nothing against you as a person or anything like that. But you're not gonna enjoy it, and they get offended by that. And when I do
Well,
take
how do
on,
you know what I'm going to enjoy or not?
yeah, I'm, yeah, they're like, I'm super active and this. I was like, yeah, that's not the problem. The
I
problem
get
is
it.
your might. And I'm telling you this to save you from the massacre because we play in like G5 to G7.
Yeah, you guys are 10 million or 10 billion for your alliance, eh?
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
billion alliance. I think we faced you once. I think you got cooked.
Yeah, you guys crushed
Um,
us.
yeah, I think you got burnt twice that that week.
I think yeah, well, was that AR or was that I know that we played
AR.
you I know we played you in
You had
Pompeii just recently.
Rogue. You had Rogue with you.
Oh, that was the yeah, okay, so that that's a funny one. We were not supposed to be in that matchmaking.
Yeah.
That was not fair matchmaking, so I definitely appreciate getting burned twice, you
Hmm.
sons of bitches. No, but we also got matchmaked recently in your Pompeii, and you guys crushed us there too. But I
Oh,
again
that's our
blame the
second
matchmaking.
alliance. So in our that's our second alliance, Judy. Um,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
they're our family.
yeah,
Yeah. So you face them.
yeah, yeah. We did,
You
and
know, in that
they beat
alliance,
us.
there's not a single person that has less than probably like two million armament. Every single one of them has over 2 million armaments in that
Well,
alliance.
let me just give you an idea how bad the matchmaking was. In
Yeah.
that game, you guys had less players than we did. We had more, so we had 21 players to your 14.
Yeah.
But all of your 14 players were all above 100 million.
Hmm. That's the
Only,
loophole.
yeah, only half of ours were above 100 million. So we had a ton that were like 50 million, 60 million, 40 million.
But that's what people are doing now. Like literally, before we never used to do this, but we used to go up against like proper G2, G3 alliances. We were like, what the hell is this? Um, and then we realize, you know what? It's just people putting in low numbers and high my accounts or fighters, etc. And you just win. I think most alliances do that now. If you take players for the sake of just because they want to play, the likelihood you're gonna come up against alliances that like Judy, and that's where the problem is. They need to fix a lot more than, oh yeah, look, they got less numbers,
It's not
because
just
like you
about
mentioned,
match rating. That's right.
exactly, there's
Mm-hmm.
more to it. There's armaments, there's beasts, there's so many contexts that they have
Especially
to look at.
now.
Yeah, but they're not gonna fix it because they don't care.
Well, I think you're right. I think they've lost caring a while ago. Um, and I think I've kind of noticed this when they started to really speed up how fast they were dropping stuff on us. So
Mhm.
they went from basically having an event every single week, piggybacked every single week.
Yeah.
When they were repeating Genesis War for like 5 weeks straight. Genesis War, Genesis War,
Oh,
Genesis War, Genesis War. You're like, what the stop? Like, stop.
yeah.
And then they broke us down to the schedule that we're on, but they haven't really slowed down on how much they're releasing stuff. Like you mentioned, I mean, we've been playing the game for under 2 years, and I can tell you from when I started to where it is now, it is an entirely different game.
Definitely.
Right?
A lot of things have changed.
And it's not even just in that 2 years. I'll give you another example. A friend of mine who I just interviewed just last, his name is Ghost Protocol. He quit this game for a year, like more than a year, right? So he quit right after Armaments. And he came back recently, like 2 weeks ago, and even he's like, it is a totally different game. It's not the same game. I mean, it's the same core ideology.
Yeah.
But like,
I think for him, I think it really sucks because honestly, if you don't log in for a month, you're so far behind. Like anybody you touch or you come against, you're like, whoa, what the hell happened to me? And of course, like it's disheartening, especially with the amount of time and effort people put into, leveling up their accounts and everything. And then within a matter of months, you feel like you've fallen so far behind. Yeah. And I think they need to stop releasing so many new things and actually give it time. It's like they're just feeding you without you chewing anything. You're like, yeah, have some more.
I just feel like one of those ducks with foie gras ducks. He's just getting funnel fed till I'm over full.
Exactly. That's what they're doing.
That's sick to think about.
Why would you even think about it?
I don't know why. This is ADHD, man. Don't blame me. This is my head. This is my head. What else do we force feed like that? There's like nothing that we really force feed like that except ducks. And we do that and it's delicious. I don't mean, look, I'm not faulting on foie gras, okay? That stuff's delicious. I'm just faulting on the fact that the guy who invented it was like, hey, let's take this duck, see? And then we're going to feed it until it's full, see?
Yeah.
And then we're going to keep feeding it. And then
keep feeding it.
We're going to keep feeding it. And you're like, wait, but you said he was full twice ago. I know. And here's the kicker. We're going to keep feeding it. And you're like, I don't understand how this works.
That's IGG.
It's a perfect. Just guess what, though? We're going to keep feeding it. And then eventually when it dies because it can't physically eat anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to make the most delicious. It's going to make the most delicious product you've ever had in your life. And they're not wrong. SafeMe's probably sitting at the top, like really happy that he can jump anywhere and do anything and beat up everybody and, kind of do what the fuck he wants.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But I wonder how he's going to feel when the game's no longer around and he spent over £1 million.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to someone like SafeMe though, I have to assume that money doesn't matter. So it's not gonna water off a duck's back. And that's another double entendre. That's a great reference that basically we just called him a duck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's one of those ducks. He's one of those ducks that could eat for days.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, he's at the top of the food chain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, good on him. Good on him.
Oh, I'm going to get burned. SafeMe's a fat duck. That's funny. That's funny.
He will be coming for you. He'll probably come for me the amount of time I spoke about him.
No, I mean, to be honest, he better know that I'm just joshing because at the end of the day, a lot of what I say is bullshit. It's got
you never know. Yeah. In this DNA, you never know who you offend.
That's true.
You could say hi and they get offended.
I just stopped caring. You know what I mean? I took off my give a shit meter. I got no more fucks.
You just got to do you, and it is what it is for the rest.
That's right. My mom started saying that like a long time ago. So I've heard that saying for like a long time. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to digest sometimes, but it is what it is.
I mean, once you get to that point, honestly, life becomes so simple.
Sure. Either that or very complex, depending on how you look at it.
Well, yeah, true
Like
that.
I look at Elon Musk, for example, and I trust me, I don't mean to get political by any stretch, but I talk about him because he's the richest man. And like his life is pretty complex. Not because of the things that like he, yeah, his day-to-day living, shelter, housing, travel, food, all that kind of stuff is taken care of, sure. But he's got to navigate being an absolute asshole. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a huge thing for him to have to navigate in the same time.
Maybe he just enjoys it. Some people just enjoy it. I mean, look at the English chat. I mean, there's a lot of a-holes there.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, they just love being them.
It's
like,
true. Trolls will keep trolling,
That's it, yeah.
And I think the funny part is that even in this game, how many people that I've met in English chat or in world chat, they show you the kind of people that they are in real life.
Yeah. The sad thing is, if you meet those people in real life, they'll be completely different. But yet, once they go online, they feel like, you know what, the person that they're speaking to is not a human, or it's and it's a sad thing. I think, remember, at the end of the day, even behind a screen, it's a person.
That's right.
With feelings, etc., and treat them the way you would like to be treated.
I could not say it any better myself, and truth be told, that's the exact reason why I started this podcast. Was to have people understand that this game is not just about you're not playing against a computer. You're literally playing against other people. Every single contact, every single account, every single person, even the bots, although they're run by macros, are still run by people, right? It's not the computer doing any of that kind of stuff. It's all time and effort that's put in by people. So, number one, I got to give a lot of credit to the people who do run bots. It's a whole headache. I do it too, part-time. Yeah. It's a lot to run.
I can run for you, no problem. I can do PvP. I got plenty of space.
Don't tell me that. But it's one of those things where a lot of people don't understand how much work goes into it, right?
Oh, it's insane.
And I think IGG really kind of drops the ball with that, because what they're really missing out on is the community that they've created, this capability for people to literally come together. And let's be honest, a lot of the reasons why we stay in this game is not because of the cool stuff that's on the game. It's because of the friendships that we have, the connections that we've made, the relationships that we've built, right? And these are all real people that live in real places in real time.
Definitely.
And I think that's got to be something we put a lot more value on, especially as players.
We have to, you engage with so many different people. I mean, I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people across the game, because through events, through just talking, guidance, etc., questions. And I've actually met a few as well in real life. Really cool people. I mean, one of our Ryu, he literally lives 15 minutes from me.
Oh, Jesus. But hold on. Yeah. Time out. You live in England. Everything's 15 minutes away. Let's be honest.
Not necessarily.
Listen, I live in Canada. Okay. I could drive for 20-something hours and still be in Canada. You'd end up in Russia. Okay, do you see how that works?
Yeah. I was about to say, in comparison to you, probably, yeah.
I found someone that lives in Toronto, but that's 30 hours away. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's an opportunity to speak to so many people across the globe. I think rather than doing that, people, I don't know, just spread so much hate. And especially even during battles, why not just fight the fight and then shake hands after? Why do you have to be so toxic? Even in chats, you see island raid chats and AR chats, etc. People just generally being so toxic. There's a reason why that's the first thing I do. The moment the matchmaking happens, I mute that thing.
I used to do that. I'll be honest. Here's the truth. I used to do that. And now I go in there specifically for two reasons. Number one, to share my channel, because obviously if I'm going to share it anyway, it's going to be in a place that people are going to be fine, right? But number two, a lot of times it's to engage with those people, not necessarily to prove a point, but to dishevel the entire conversation. one of my most favorite things is when they come in being racist and all this kind of stuff, because that's a typical thing. People come in trolling, being racist or being bigoted or being sexist or making some generalized stupid comment to trigger the base, right? But
Right.
if you can change the topic of conversation from what they're trying to be and turn the whole conversation, the whole room against them quickly, against something else, it's so sweet of a flavor. Do you know what I mean? It's so satisfying to my soul.
I don't have the energy for that. Maybe you do. I just can't be bothered. I'm just like, yeah, you do you, mate. You carry on.
I blame my
I got there.
ADHD. I love to fight. I love
Yeah,
to argue. I love
yeah.
to debate, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
No, you
it's,
debate. I mean, it's fine having a debate with people who would give you valid points or give you a different opinion. That's fine.
yes.
But some people are just generally, it's like talking to a wall.
Yep.
And you're like, yeah, you carry on, mate. If that wall is pink for you, yeah, that's fine. You carry on.
It's a pretty, pretty pink. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
it's just not worth it, really.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can definitely appreciate that.
Hmm.
It's a skill that I love, and I blame my ADHD because one of the telltale signs of ADHD is that it's not necessarily enjoy confrontation, but like we get dopamine from like debates and conversation and arguments and things. So it actually makes us feel better to like be the devil's advocate. So I love to
Mm.
go in there and be the devil's advocate and just soak up all those juicy brain chemicals, those neurochemicals. Just living the dream. Everything else in the world
Hey,
sucks, so at least I can enjoy my peace here, you know?
yeah. Now people know why you play the game.
Yeah, I do. It's because I love to be
Yeah,
a counter troll. You know what I mean? I love to.
yeah. You're a
I,
troll on the internet.
that's right. I'm an anti troll. What is that? A gremlin? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you'd
yeah,
call that.
yeah. That's it.
A white knight
Yeah,
a troll. What would that be? I don't
yeah.
know.
Or does it depend on your mood, how much energy you got?
No, I think it definitely depends on my emotional status, how hard I push, and whether it's emotionally invested or not. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just for fun, but sometimes I get really. I'll give you a prime example. I'm in a lot of chats, right? And I'm sure you can attest. You're probably in a lot of chats too. You
Yeah.
end up meeting a lot of great people, and then you get invited to group chats and shit like that. And things get said in group chats, and I will admit I do get triggered. This one time, I was conversing with someone who made a generalized statement about people with autism, and unfortunately, I believe I have autism. I'm still waiting to get tested, but my son has autism, and he's the first one in our family to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and I have ADHD, and there's a huge correlation between ADHD and autism and the spectrum and yada yada yada. So like, I believe I have it. I know my son has it, and I know I've done a lot of research on it. So when generalized statements, so and I'll openly admit it, I got triggered, absolutely got triggered.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of that conversation, man, so relieved and relaxed. It was great. I
Yeah.
can't attest. I can't complain. It was great.
Seems like you enjoyed that conversation after
Mm.
then.
I'll tell you, my favorite topics, Jay, my favorite topics of conversation are religion, politics, parenting, moral discussions. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the weather. I don't care about, you know what I mean? I want to dig deep and understand why you are the way you are, and how come you see see things the way that you do. And I want to understand what makes you breathe. That to me is a
Mm-hmm.
is a great conversation. And does that mean that I get involved in a lot of them? Yeah. But
I
it
mean,
also,
those are as long as they're healthy debates, healthy discussions to really understand each other. But that's what
right.
life's about. And like for example, if you travel abroad or go on holiday, it's about experiencing cultures, the way people are,
Exactly.
what they do, etc. Obviously, this gives us the opportunity, this online world, to experience it in an online way. But obviously, apart from the toxic side of it, um, yeah, you can have top, discussions on anything really without getting too touchy. Um, but it just depends. You have to have the balance, and obviously, both of you have to have an open mind because you can't have a conversation with someone if they're like tunnel vision. They're like, "Oh no,
Right.
my way is my way, and that's the way. That's right." Um,
That's exactly. I'm going to jump in and agree with you. That's exactly what I was going to say. A lot of it comes down to going into that conversation. Number one, with the understanding that your viewpoint can be wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Understanding that, number one, I guess my best motto, best way to describe it is this: humans are nothing more than great apes, embarrassed, right? Self-conscious great apes,
Yeah.
hallucinating on light. That's
Hmm.
really all we are. And so
Yeah.
everybody's experience is different. Everybody understands things a little bit differently, right? Even when you look at math, I mean, there's a reason why Common Core math struck such a chord with people. And I know we're
Hmm.
kind of segueing off the game, but it all kind of relates to why we do what we do. And you look at something as simple as Common Core math, well, that changed our entire dynamic and really kind of forced people to look at math a little bit differently, which isn't an easy thing to do. Change is difficult for anybody.
Yeah,
But
some people don't like change. They're just stuck in their own way.
yeah,
And they're like, okay, no, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to listen to anything. That's the way I am. And that's it. The world has to accept me. That's it.
that's right. That's
Uh,
right. That's why
but I
I've
think,
always had a
Mhm.
sorry to continue. I've always had a problem when people say, "Oh, it's okay, we can have differencing of opinions and still be friends." Yeah, to a degree, but we need context. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we can agree that faux soup or pho soup or whatever pho is delicious, and you can say it's not. That's fine. We can disagree with that. But if we have fundamental differences on like human rights and like human
yeah,
value,
yeah,
like
fundamental differences is a huge, yeah, it's not going to be good if you are going to disagree on that aspect. I guarantee you'll clash heads on every corner that you can think of.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean,
And it just doesn't work.
and not only do you clash heads outside of that, but you find out that those topics then leach into other topics, and you start finding ways to fight with those
Yeah.
people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, I mean that's why you have friends that are very like similar in the fundamentals. They may have different opinions, etc., but the fundamentals are very similar.
mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why you surround yourself with those type of people. You're not gonna surround yourself with people that have completely different fundamentals than you, because then you're out of place. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that's exactly
Yeah.
why, if you look at creating an alliance like we do in the game, I mean, half the reason why you have the people that you have is because they believe in the same ideology that you do. They have the same, core fundamentals. And we've experienced in our alliance alone going through a fallout where there was a breakdown in those core fundamental agreements. And once you
Hmm.
have a breakdown there, well, like you said, it's really hard to kind of formulate anything, consistent moving forward. Um, Especially knowing that those fundamental differences, they don't go away very easily.
They say, your alliance is only good as your leader.
That's true.
And not in sense, oh yeah, this person's the most powerful. I mean, in terms of the way your alliance behaves, if they're structured, um, the way they fight, the way they, they would speak or they communicate, etc. There's so many fundamentals that people forget to look at. Having an alliance, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's easy to put a fort there and yeah, I'll go an alliance. But to actually run an alliance properly, the way it should be run, people realize how difficult it is
Mm,
once it starts to grow. Once you start to have to make the hardest decision, you're like, okay, mate, like you're not behaving the right way. This is how you do it, and they still don't learn, and you just, it's very very difficult. And to be a successful alliance and um, a good leader, you have to you have to be open. You have to learn. You have to teach, and you have to go through various different phases of alliances evolution, um, because once your alliance starts to grow, people have egos. Let's say a whale comes in or someone joins, and then they're like, I want all the resources, I want all the attention, and things like that. And you have to
I want all the
learn to manage.
gold.
Oh, yeah, and a gold is another one now. People, I mean, fighting over gold, like stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a lot to think about. So people are like, oh yeah, we're inviting T6 whales, etc. But when they come in, they're like, I want everything. And the thing is, if they're not team players, you might as well not have them. Like
Well,
I generally, if I don't have, if a whale comes to me, obviously I'm blessed I got few. But if a whale comes to me and he's not a team player, I will never accept that person.
I always get into conversation with anybody that I have first that before they come in, I
Yeah.
spend time talking to them first to understand not only where they're coming from, right? Why are you leaving the alliance that you're in? What are you looking for? What's your purpose? But
Mm-hmm.
also to give them an understanding on how we do things, right? Not just on where we get, what time we do Pompeii and Antipede, but a lot of those fundamental things too, right? Like how we distribute gold. It,
Yep.
that's not going to change regardless of whether you're here or not. And I've had a ton of people come to me and say, look, I can bring you a ton of strong players, but they want all their gold back. And I'm like, but that's not what we do here. And I'm not going to make special accounts just for you at account
Mm-hmm.
of everybody else who's been here who agrees with the way that we do things.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, every yeah, like you mentioned, gold is a significant aspect of the game now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and every alliance has their own way of doing it. You probably do it differently, whereas like, in my alliance, what we do is like we give them 4.99 a month, all active players that, everybody in R3, etc. Regardless of what might you're at, regardless of what it is, you get, if you're an active member, you get that monthly subscription from that gold. And then
Oh, cool.
yeah, so, and then you have two events, Island Raid and AR.
Yeah.
And in those events, you get, before we tried and tested the top players, etc. Then obviously the whales will get it. So then but what our whales would do is like, now we don't want it. Like we want to give it to the players that are growing, that don't spend much, etc.
Yeah.
So then what we did was like, okay, let's look at it in a different way. We'll do point-based system, no PvP allowed. So we like 100 million will get you 1,000 gold. 200 million, 150 million would get you 1,500, up to 3K.
Right.
So, and then what happened, like during those two events, players, we have about in a month, maybe like 60 to 80K gold. And that gold is spent around that figure, to the players that fight. And most of them don't have to spend much, but obviously there are people that are spending. They're also happy to spend and obviously get the gold back, regardless of your might or your
Right.
whether you're a whale or etc. Because everybody contributes to the fight, to the event. Obviously
It's
no PvP allowed.
Well, exactly. And I think that's kind of the biggest part about it.
Mm-hmm.
We started to do the same type of thing too. Before, what we would do is we would take a certain amount of gold and we would distribute it evenly across the leadership team. And then each person in that leadership team would have a nomination. So, every player would have a nomination of who in the alliance they think is representing the alliance the best, whether it's participating the most in, pushing the hardest in events, being really active in chat, offering resources and trading resources and being active in that aspect, being a really good member, regardless of might. They would also get a split of that too. And then
Mm-hmm.
when we had that breakdown of fundamentals, like I talked about, and it kind of led to a split where we had kind of a good chunk of our team kind of bail off in their own way. We kind of looked at it a little bit differently and said we wanted to start focusing on creating an alliance of participating players, of people that want to push regardless of might. I don't really care if you're 30 million trying to fight 100 million players or more. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that you're going to be working well behind the dime to be able to do that. And I'm going to tell you that
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly and inform you, and not really give you too much leeway when you complain that you're getting squished in the field. Well, absolutely, you're getting squished in the field. They're tier 6, right? And you're tier 4. So I
But
get that.
do you like, for example, you mentioned 30 million players. Like if I have a player that's recently joined, I think it was about 60, 70 million. He scored 85 million points last AR, and you're talking about GW.
Sure.
Sorry, AR G7, G5, or I think it's G5, G6, or G7, one of them.
Yep.
And I tell him, I said, you are not allowed to go on the field because the only people you're gonna fight is T6,
Mm-hmm.
and you're talking about white armaments and things like that. And then they understand it. And then until they don't learn, obviously we have other alliances within our region, and
Yep.
then they slowly learn. And once they join, that we spend so much time with them, we're like everybody's moving in the same direction. And if we're gonna bail out, we're all gonna bail out. One thing I cannot stand is any player getting burned in my alliance. I will literally leave them home next event. I will not take them in because, and luckily I have enough access to a lot of accounts, so I do save them. But that's one thing. That is one thing that annoys me the most
When
is when
players
I
get
see
burned.
when my own player gets burned.
Yeah,
Like,
I used to care a lot, but I've come to terms with one thing. With how vocal I am in the alliance, with how vocal and active I am with placing labels, with how, with if you miss it in chat, if you miss it in the amount of mails that I send, if you miss the heads up to say move your shelter because they're coming and you will get burned, I've lost all fucks, man. I've lost all of them
mm,
because I have spent so much time telling people exactly this. Look, you're not in the right. You need to go to the academy. You need to go somewhere else. Try a different place. Try a different place. And they're always like, no, I'm doing fine. I'm having fun. This is fine. And don't get me wrong. It's very easy for me to kick them out and get rid of them. But I'll be honest with you. We struggle to get the total match. Like we register 40 or
yeah.
46 players on a couple of farms, right? Just in order to be able to make it. So sometimes I have to bring them just because we don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that I have some players at 40 million might who score 70 million points. And if a 40 million player is scoring 70 million points, I don't give a shit. They're doing their part as much as they can.
That's exceptional. That's really
right?
good.
So I have no problems if they do that. And that to me, so that's what we started to do. We started to look at a ratio of points to might. This way, no matter what your might is, and we provide tons of opportunities, right? We don't level restrict our rallies. We don't level restrict our garrisons. So any tier troops can get in. We sacrifice for that, right? To give everybody the opportunity to get points. And there is no reason why the average player can't acquire anywhere between 0.75 and a 1-to-1 ratio of points to might. That should be achievable in every event. There's really only 2 events a month. GW I don't count because we don't play it. We register and farm. That's all we do.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we play it, but I don't consider that an event. I think it's just a day out. Like, we don't even take buildings. We just go around smacking people.
So the
Right.
only thing we do is we build our 4 locations or 3 locations because we don't have 80 players. We'll build our 3 alliance spots. We'll build out our towers and then fight for the 45 million war meets war. But then as soon as I get 45 million points, stop and just farm. Right?
Especially
Don't
with
need to
4
waste anymore.
nodes. Especially with 4 resource centers.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just don't even have to. You leave them there and you just farm all day and who cares? The rewards for winning aren't good enough. The only rewards that are valuable for anything are war meets war, which you can easily get. 45 million points you can acquire in the first 2 hours, hour maybe, of the event, and then you never have to play anything else of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And like we talked about, because the times are so messed up on it, because if you have to be at both zombie places and you have to be at the 1-hour fight spot, it just doesn't work for the majority of our alliance.
It just favors one set of region. I don't think it favors Europeans or any other people that sleep in or things like that. Especially like now,
Or have
you
a life.
literally or have a life. Yeah, like if you have a life, you cannot win GW.
Nope.
Yeah,
I mean,
give me
granted, if you have a
Silver.
life, it's hard to win IR or AR either.
I mean, you can make exception because it's a lengthy event, so you can log in. But if you set a time where you have to be here for this amount of time or you will not win the event.
Yeah.
I think that's just silly.
And without giving us choice on when we have that fight time. Like if they gave us the choice, like even if they gave us a bracket and said, even within that one day, give us 3 different time slots, that by its own right would be far more beneficial than bringing in the zombie spots.
That would solve the problem.
Yeah.
That would literally solve the timing problem. Or maybe change it. 1 month, you're like, okay, this, I don't know, is 2 o'clock or something. And then next month is 6 p.m. or something. Again, it should at least give options. So, like, you got more people playing. Like, some people just sit out because they can't make it.
And it really brings everything back to where, because this is effectively advice given to the developers. So IGG, if you're listening, that's right, get your head out of your ass. If you're listening for a second, pay attention. I want to ask you a question here because this is something that we kind of obviously ask everybody, and I want to get some advice on as well. We've been sitting here talking a lot about kind of what IGG should do, what kind of they shouldn't do, what they have done, you know, the kind of changes that they brought on. But if you were to have their advice, if you were to have their ear for the next, let's say, 15, 20 seconds or whatever, what would be the best piece of advice that you could be able to give them to give this game the most longevity that it has?
Listen to your player base, because they're clearly not listening. They do everything that we don't want them to do, regardless of how much you cry, how much you spam Discord chat, their game bots, etc. They just don't listen. They will do what they want to do.
I don't.
Okay, everybody, you want to make money? That's fine. Like making money, everybody wants to make money. But at the same time, you're talking about, you know, time zones in GW. You're talking about the money aspect, like how the cost of the packs. Rather than 100, make them less, or break them down at least. So over time, you still get the same money, but at least people can work towards something. It's not rocket science.
You know why I'm not laughing at you, but it's such a perfect comment because it's such a simple idea, and all I can picture in your head, right, in my head, is like I'm giving you the opportunity to talk to the developers, and you've basically walked up to them, put one arm on either shoulder, shook them violently, and said, "Listen to me."
Yeah, I would literally do that. I would literally do that if I could.
It's so perfect. Yeah. And like image in my mind is just so refreshing. So it's like a great viewpoint. And I think that's what they should do. They should listen to us more, because even the whales are saying, even the guys at the top are saying it needs to slow down. It needs to give us some time to catch up, give them some time to, you know, to catch that barrier, fix the matchmaking, fix the servers.
Oh, servers. Yeah, right? The amount of time you crash, like, it's just unreal.
I mean, not only that, but I'll give you another prime example. You can't play this game if it's not on optimized mode. And how many of these guys spent money on fucking fancy skins that they can't see now because they have to play on optimized mode?
That's it, yeah.
Like, seems a little counterproductive, game, you know?
And I think another thing that they need to actually do a lot better and to help the newer players, it's actually help them understand the game.
Yeah.
Because everybody like that starts probably leveling up Charlie to level 60 and having, like, I don't know, Maxine running rallies.
Listen. I don't want them to do it better, Jay. I don't want them to do it better because that doesn't give me, you know, something to do. I need them to be shit at their job.
I could give you 1,000 things that you could do, mate. Like, that's not a problem.
No, for sure. That's my point. I need them to be so bad at it that I have 1,000 things to do. Because if they were good at it,
no. Maybe they should hire you. Like, at least have content creators. Is there even an actual? Is there even a YouTube channel for IGG?
No.
What, they have Discord?
They have a Discord.
That's not even real, because there's only like one admin there. The rest of them are just game players.
Yep. They don't have any content creators. IGG does not have any content creators. They're all private. They're all personal people. And the only
where are they running this game from? Someone's basement?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Their servers could very well be there. Here's the way that I look at it. They've limited so many things that are specific. So we talk a lot about servers and things that they could increase. I'll give you a prime example. They limit activity to the events to 2,200 alliances, right?
Yeah.
Which means that, and if you think about it, they now have 750 regions, okay? Which means that in theory, you're getting 3 alliances from every region. But because the brand new alliances aren't going to fit within the top 2,200, it's entirely weighted to wherever the whales are. Okay, so the whales will always get in. Everybody else gets ignored. And now you have 2/3, if not more, 3/4 of your player base that doesn't even get to play the game at all. So instead of giving us new events and new heroes and all this kind of shit, give us better servers. Give us, you know, better foundations that's going to make the game better. That's why I've also think this is more of a flash in the pan thing, because they would take all the extra money that they're making and beef up the servers, take it out of the basement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think the only thing that they're waiting for new players to do is come and get burned by, older players,
Mm-hmm.
because they do not let them come to events. I
Nope.
mean, 2200, and I think last time I was looking at it, the 2200 alliance, their might was like 2.5 billion or something.
Yeah.
Like,
My
how could you
academy,
expect? Yeah.
listen to this. My academy couldn't get in at 2.7.
Wow.
Yeah, which means you have to have now between 2.7 and 3 billion might just to be in the bottom of the rankings.
That's crazy.
I mean, it is. And with all the new shit that they're adding, right? And this is why I have a problem with what they're doing, because they keep adding more regions, but they're not adding more access to the events. So like if it kept going up, so if it was like, like it kept up with, say 10% of the regions or 30% of the
Yeah.
regions that they had. So every 10 regions
Hmm.
that added another 100 participants, that would be totally fine. I could totally understand that. But it's
That would
not
make
that,
sense.
right? It's not that. And because it's not that, and because they've added so many other things, half the new players will never get a chance to play because they're not even leveling up fast enough, or the alliances aren't even leveling up fast enough to stay competitive even in the lowest brackets.
Yeah, that is true.
So all of a sudden you're
I
cutting out
just,
75% of the game. Like, what do you expect?
Mhm. If they need a list on what to do, like, I can write them a list.
Yeah.
I mean, I already do, but they ignore me. I think they blocked me or something. I swear. I
I
have
think they
like
just,
full on chats with them.
yeah, I think they just have that auto save send where it's like, oh, we'll get to it in
Yeah.
1 to 3 business days. And then the response in the business days is, hey, we got to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, but how did you get to it? Oh, we'll get to you in 1 to 3 business days.
Yeah. They just no, they just keep telling me, "Oh, thank you for the suggestion. We will look into it." I never hear anything back.
One of the biggest
Just
suggestions that people have had is for IGE to create a panel or like a portal that gives them kind of a direct translation or a direct communication to them. Even if it's like a panel of people that they speak to, to give them opinions on the player base. And I think that would be an absolutely fantastic idea, because that would not only allow them to listen to their player base more, but depending on what that panel is, you get a good mix of whales and free-to-play players there. Well, you get a good prospect on what the business is doing or what the experience of the gamer is.
Oh, we can hold them accountable
Yeah.
for the nonsense that they're doing. And obviously Wales can speak from their point of view, what their experience is, and the new players can explain why things are so hard and to actually play the game. At the end of the day, we all want one thing, right? Is to
Mm-hmm.
keep the game going, because the game's not bad. Like, honestly, like,
It's
the game is
good. Yep.
it's good, but they're only messing it up for themselves in the long run. Like, we as players will move on to the next game, but that'll be a shame.
It'll happen. I know it will. I'm not
Yeah,
going anywhere. I've invested too much into this shit to go anywhere. I'm here till
I mean,
the
to
wheels
be
fall
honest,
off.
yeah, I think a lot of people are still around because of that reason. I've invested too much until until they get burnt, and then they're like, I've lost it all.
No, even when I get burned,
Yeah.
and you saw me get burned
Ah.
twice, so you can attest to this, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it
I know some
hurts. I
people.
get it.
I know some people who quit the game because they got burnt, like
Oh,
earlier on, like,
no. That's
especially
just,
when they're free to play players,
yeah,
and they're not even level 25, and they get burnt,
yeah.
and they lose like 95k troops, and obviously it's not even during an event. they're, they're gone.
I hate to laugh,
Yeah.
but I lost 200,000 troops in the last event.
Yeah. Oh, that's normal. That's normal.
Ah,
Yeah.
you gotta, that's the thing. You have to start
No, but
experiencing it, and people need to wake up to the game itself. Like,
you're laughing because you lost it in the event. Imagine losing it when it's not an event. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, these people move to new regions and they burn players
yeah.
that are literally like level 20, and they lose like everything they've built over the last month or so.
Yeah.
Like, how do you expect them to keep playing?
Oh, for sure. Don't get it twisted. I get that. I'm laughing more at the fact that it's like they lose 95,000 troops, and it's like, yeah, I get
Oh,
it. When it's
during
95,000, if
an
you're tier,
event?
yeah,
during an event, I expect you to lose more.
Yeah, well,
Like
exactly.
if it's not 200 plus, like you're not fighting hard enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, but again, context. Once you layer in context, you're like, yeah, that's right. If it's outside and when
Yeah.
you you get burned while you're farming, like there's nothing more dehumanizing and like debilitating than having your farmers burned at home. You're like, what? How does that even? Who? Where?
Yeah.
It's just like this.
They don't even know what happened. They're like, oh, 30 days. Why is this player here? I was the top person with 8 million might.
And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you wake up and you're on fire. How did this? But I
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
think. Who put? Thank God for
Yeah,
the
it's like
legend later
aliens
Doomsday.
invaded you.
Yeah,
Literally, it's
exactly.
like aliens invaded you. That's what they must feel like.
Oh man. I just laugh. I
Mm.
just laugh because I'm like 90,000 troops. I'm like, I piss 90,000 troops.
Oh yeah, easy, easy.
I get burned for 90,000 troops. Blah.
Yeah.
But that's also why I don't keep very many troops to begin with. Because like I just like to be strategic with them. I know I'm going to use them for garrison. I know I'm going to burn them there anyways. That's fine. I know my riders in range don't work in the field very often. I know they're only going to fill rallies and garrisons. That's fine. You know,
But
I've got.
that comes from experience, and obviously
Yep.
this is what I was referring to, like
Yep. Mm-hmm.
teaching your players, like, look, your strong squad is this. Another thing people fail to understand is when they're investing into parts and vehicles and etc., especially if they're like free to play players or the low spenders,
Yep.
they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna level up everything or whatever I can. And I was like, no, no, no,
Nope.
no, no. Focus on
No.
one thing.
Yep.
Even armaments, I was like, make your one squad as strong as you can. Fight with only one if you need to.
Yep.
I'd rather you be a master at one than a jack of all trade, a master at none.
It seems
Um,
to me like you might have been watching my content because that seems to be a pretty big
I
thing that
do,
I believe.
I do no. I mean, when you're a teacher in your own alliance,
Yeah,
like it,
it's
I mean,
it's
we all teach, we all
absolutely
preach,
true.
yeah, we all preach the same thing. I think to everybody like 10,000 times.
I hope so because honestly, it's one of those
Yeah.
things where, again, because this game has so much context, when people say like, "What should I do?" Who should I focus on? What hero should I get? And this and that. There's so much context I need to know. Like, what do you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish? If you want to
Mhm.
be a jack of all trades, that's fine, but prepare to spend a shit ton of money to do that successfully. Other than
Mhm.
that, you're going to be a wet noodle. So if you don't want to be a wet noodle and you don't spend much or you are free to play, your best bet is to hyper focus all of your resources into one troop type, into one troop armament, into one type of vehicles. You know what I mean? Like into one type of vehicle advancements, into one type of beast advancement. Like make that one march, whatever you do, as potent as you can be.
Absolutely agree.
Right? Like I know
Um,
I'm a garrison main in my alliance, so I don't prep my beasts to fight on the field because I know I only have one good line that I'm gonna like. I have my good garrison line and a mediocre field fighting line that I'm working on now. But
I got a good
everything,
question for you, actually.
sure.
Go ahead. Once you finish,
Well, I was just gonna say,
is
like I've got everything hyper focused into that one line, so that my defensive line, right? It's like a 4 million Thunder Riven combo with a
mm-hmm,
level 81 Pangolin who's promoted, I think, to level 7 or level 8 right now, level 7 or level 8, and
mm-hmm,
like almost fully developed on the inside. So my beast damage is great in comparison to the average person hitting me when
mm-hmm.
I'm garrisoned. But in the field, I know that that's not my focus. I'm only there to help out, right? Beat some of the weaker tier 6s, add as additional tier 6s, fighting in the field. But I'm not the one going out there dealing thousands of damage to field troops. That's not my focus.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people that I know, like, they've moved away from having garrison hounds. I think I even saw Zed talk about it as well. So to be more efficient on the field and in garrison, what they do is they rather have, I don't know, let's say infantry attributes rather than garrison. So then you're useful on both, so you can fight on the field and
Correct.
be good in garrison. A lot of people they're like, oh, I'm a garrison main, and they have garrison everything, and then on the field there's nothing to show for it.
So that's a perfect point. My first set, for example, is like my main set is like 3.6 or 3.7 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's only 2 or 3 garrison specific hones. The rest are infantry or squad specific, so that if I wanted to switch it to the field, I could. And I have done that type of stuff before. There's really, and I've gone through hones, especially I'm going through armaments right now, and hones is something that we talk about. And in those hones, you know, the garrison or the rally ones, those are really kind of non-existent. So you don't really want to have those.
No, you don't, unless they're red ones.
Yeah, if you get stuck with a red garrison, then keep it, you know, if you're going to be a garrison player. But if you're not going to be a garrison player, then don't. Like, even if you get a red rally or a red garrison, get rid of it. I just dumped a red squad travel speed on my infantry set today because I was putting it for a garrison, and I'm not going to use travel speed for garrison. What do I need travel speed on my garrison set?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're going to sit there and be like, oh, let me travel from this tower to the other.
I can run really fast in my spot. Like, what the fuck? Don't get me wrong, Thunder's a slow-ass tank, so I appreciate the extra speed, but it's easy to get rid of.
Another trick, I don't know whether you use it or not, like in towers, like I change, so if I have entrustment of, you know, my whale accounts, etc.
Yeah.
So I change garrison leader purposely to say, oh, it's a random, you know, one of the other members. And then the other people, they get happy. They're like, oh, yeah, that person's not in the tower. And then the moment the rally's coming in, you change it back to your main.
Yeah. Just like a shadow punch.
Yeah, literally. It's like the funniest thing. And then you see them instantly cancel the rally because obviously the damage they're taking. And then obviously the marches are already out and you're smacking their troops across the map.
It's so much fun to switch the trades by putting someone else in garrison. When we were in our last archipelago raid, we had the HMB players with us, and we were on this one push. And I can't remember, they had one of the other teams was running a garrison. They were running I can't remember exactly what garrison they were running. And they had sent a rally against us. And the trades were kind of equal, but we were still losing in the long run because they were refilling faster. And then as soon as MP5 put his Raiguro Riven in there, and his Raiguro Riven is like 6 million or something like that, 5.5 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And the trades instantly like dumped, where it went from like 6,000 damage to like 1,000, and they went from like 4,000 damage to 7,000. It was like boom. You're like,
it's the most fun thing to see, and it just makes you laugh.
Yeah, it's just so good because you're like, it just proves how much context there is in this game, how many layers.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of fun ways to play this game. A lot of fun ways.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do one thing here just because I've just realized we've been chatting now for over an hour and a half. This has been one of the longest podcasts that we've had so far.
I did tell you I talk a lot. You'll have to interrupt me and stop me.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, honestly, I've had a blast. I think we've had a really good conversation. You know, we've hit on a lot of good points. So I'm not...
I mean, there's a lot that we didn't either, so it's fine.
Well, that's the thing. There's so much to talk about, right? And like, just to kind of to precursor something, I've been in conversation with a couple of noticeable players about starting a monthly podcast in regards to just like doing kind of a round table. Because in one of my last videos, I asked, you know, kind of the public what they thought about getting a monthly round table, and the support has been, you know, pretty astronomical. So I've been kind of focused on doing that too. Because like you said, not only is there a lot to talk about, but there's a lot to discuss, you know, even with the things, like even already in the things that they keep doing. Even if they didn't change a thing tomorrow, there would still be more stuff to talk about and more context to go through.
Well, there's always, I mean, weekly, there's insane amount of things that you can speak about on the game, how you can help players and what they could do to be more efficient, how to fight. There's literally, you could go on forever. There's always content.
Thank goodness for me. No.
Yeah.
So I do want to wrap it up here just because like I said, we've been chatting for a while and I want to kind of save myself some editing because I hate editing. So, so we're going to make this, I want to wrap it up here, but I want to give you a chance here. First and foremost, I want to say thanks a lot for joining us on the channel today. It's been an absolute blast getting to know you. Obviously getting to pick your brain a little bit. And, you know, even knowing that you're not close to me in location, knowing that we started the game literally weeks apart is kind of a cool thing to find out.
Yeah. You're like a big brother to me in the game now. 1 week, I think.
Yeah,
One
it's like
week older
twins.
than
You know
me.
what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
literally twins. Like 1
Yeah,
hour
that's it.
apart in game time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, you find out those things, but again, it comes down to the community. So I want to thanks a lot for joining us here. But before we go, I want to give you a chance to shout out any of your friends, your alliance mates, anyone you want to give a little bit of a nod to in the game that's helped you out or, taught you some things. Go ahead and do that now.
There are so many, but obviously I'll shout out to all my alliance members, Epic Alliance, Ryu, Min, Venom, DT, who helps me run the alliance when there's nothing going on. I mean, he manages all the internal stuff, so it is a lot of work, especially to run a successful alliance.
Yeah.
Only those who run it know how difficult it is.
Ain't that the truth? I don't mean to interrupt, but isn't that not the truth?
Yeah, it's hard work, but at the same time, it is amazing because you get to meet so many different people, so many nice people. So thank you to everybody, and thank you for having me as well.
No problem. Again, thanks for joining us. It's been an absolute blast. But as we wrap up here, folks, for those at home, if you did like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe. Don't forget to fill out the notification bell and click the join button to become a member today. As we've gone over, IGG doesn't pay its content creators diddly squat, and YouTube doesn't pay us small content creators very much. So obviously, if you can join the community and click that join button, that would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I want to put out one more thank you to Sagey619, also known as Jay. I really appreciate you being here today. Like I said, it's been an absolute blast, and you're welcome back anytime. I mean, it's been a good time here, and I think we really hit on a lot of important parts, so thanks for doing that.
Thank you for having me. And one thing before I go, guys who use PC, do not buy auto gathering. There's a way you can farm without spending a penny, the same way that you farm in the game.
Reach out to Sagey619 in region 200.
I will tell you guys. I will, and I mean this. I will tell you guys for free how to do it. Do not spend a penny that you don't need to. There's various other things as well.
So following that, I think I might have to bring you back on here just to pick your brain a little bit. But either way, everybody at home, reach out to Sagey619, and he will give you the secrets to the keys of the kingdom, because I heard this out myself, and I'll be entirely honest, I'm pissed off that I spent the $100 to get the darn frickin' auto gatherer. But all of that being said, folks, thanks very much for tuning in. It has been an absolute blast. From everyone here at the podcast, love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time, stay lifted.